You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended Shaolin Temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
Welcome back, everyone. 49 after the hour. I know if you're like me, you are missing comic genius Leslie Nielsen, who passed away this weekend at age 84 from complications from pneumonia. How sad.
Yeah, it's very sad.
So we'll be playing all sorts of Airplane and Naked Gun clips this week. But for today's rant, we're doing an audible. I'm jumping to this one because I just had to say something about New Jersey's governor, Chris Christie. This came out on Wednesday. They were talking. Chris Christie said he will fight to prevent his administration's proposed medical marijuana regulations from going up in smoke, despite pressure from state lawmakers to change. Now, this is the state had passed medical marijuana, and then Christie's administration doesn't like it, so he came up with all these terrible regulations, and now the Senate and the Assembly are moving to repeal those terrible regulations. He says if we do that, the rules that would water it down and create de facto legalization of marijuana in New Jersey. Christie said that changes could lead to duplicating flawed medical marijuana systems in places like California and Colorado. Quote, "We're not going to have a head shop in every town and quack doctors writing prescriptions for people with headaches to get marijuana. That's not going to happen on my watch." Christie said he has no problem with allowing for the compassionate relief of pain for those patients who can't find relief through any other legal means. Quote, I'm for them getting it from doctors who've been treating them all along, not from doctors parachuted into the situation with a profit-making motive like we've seen happen in California and Colorado, he said. This is such a smokescreen, and it's such... There's a lot of things I could say about it. Basically, Governor Christie is blowing smoke up your ass about what these proposed regulations would do. First of all, you already have the strictest medical marijuana law in the country, Governor Christie. Patients can't grow their own. They can only have 2 ounces of cannabis that they can only get from 6 dispensaries in the whole damn state. Chronic pain and severe nausea, they aren't even covered by themselves. They're only covered if they're a symptom of HIV, AIDS, or cancer. So headaches, no one's going to get it for a headache. Physicians also must be responsible for ongoing primary care and not just, quote, the provision of authorization for a patient to use medical marijuana or consultation solely for that purpose, end quote. So in other words, Governor Christie, you already have a law preventing quack doctors from writing prescriptions for people with headaches to get marijuana. Because headaches, even migraine headaches, wouldn't qualify in New Jersey. You already have a law preventing doctors parachuted into the situation with a profit-making motive because your law has ongoing primary care that makes that impossible. Your whole idea of a head shop in every town has nothing to do with medical marijuana. There are already head shops all over New Jersey. Your law, signed on January 19th, even includes coverage for terminal illness if the physician has determined a prognosis of less than 12 months of life. And your stonewalling is going to guarantee another January 19th passes without any of those terminal patients getting some comfort from legal medical marijuana. So much for your support of compassionate relief for pain. Your unfounded fears of California and Colorado mean that some of your constituents are suffering and will die. Now, what the Assembly and the Senate are really doing, Governor Christie, is rejecting your even more restrictive regulations for the medical marijuana program that completely defy the intent of the law as it was passed and written. Where the law, as it was passed, calls for 6 alternative treatment centers, ATCs, or what we would understand as dispensaries, 6 of them, where the patients can go get their 2 ounces. Your rules call for only 4 dispensaries and the other 2 as grow sites. So a law that called for 6 dispensaries, your rules are cutting down to 4. That's what they're trying to repeal. Has nothing to do with California, Colorado, doctors parachuting in, head shops on every corner. It has to do with providing the 6 damn dispensaries that we passed in the damn law. And, here's the other one here. Your rules Also call for those two grow sites, the two grow sites that are going to grow for all the medical marijuana patients in the state of New Jersey with 8.6 million people. Your two grow sites were going to be limited to 3 strains of cannabis. 3 strains of cannabis. And each of those strains limited to a maximum of 10% THC, which is far below what anybody would consider medical grade marijuana anywhere in the world. And in fact, at 10% THC, the 2-ounce limit becomes even more problematic because patients will have to use more cannabis to get the same relief. No. See, the truth of this is your prejudice against cannabis, Governor Christie. That quote you said about patients who can find relief through no other legal means just reveals you as another simple-minded prohibitionist. You believe marijuana is evil, and a patient should be forced to try every legal, expensive, addictive, toxic, side effect-laden pharmaceutical first before trying safe, natural, effective, non-toxic cannabis, whose worst side effects are dry mouth, bloodshot eyes, and a little bit of joy. Yeah, that's your attitude, is that they should have to try all the pills first, and they should have to be terminal, suffering, the most debilitated possible patients you could find before you'll let them smoke a flower. That's ridiculous. You are demagoguing a crisis that doesn't even exist to fight for an even worse medical marijuana law. There is no way what we have in California, Colorado, hell, what we have in Oregon could exist in New Jersey. You're the only state where patients nowhere in the state can grow their own. They have to qualify under very severe restricted list of conditions where chronic pain and chronic nausea don't even count. Cancer, HIV, AIDS, glaucoma, severe seizures, spasms like multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, that ALS, Crohn's disease, they qualify. But again, you have to have your medical record documentation. You have to have seen a doctor, ongoing primary care physician, and he has to be the one that signs for you. You've created a law where a patient has to depend on their one doctor's opinion of medical marijuana as to whether or not they even have access to the medical marijuana. And in a situation where doctors have been demonized about marijuana for so long, and none of them have been taught about it in medical school, you face a situation where many doctors won't recommend medical marijuana, even if it could be the best possible solution for the patient, because they still believe that it's, going to lead to heroin or terrible things are going to happen. We deny patients this medicine because of crazy scaremongering, stereotyping, fears that have been around since the 1930s. You've got a situation here where even if a doctor does want to prescribe recommend medical marijuana for his patient, there's some that can't. There are doctors, I talk to them all the time, who would love to write recommendations for medical marijuana, but their HMO won't allow it. Their insurance won't allow it. Their clinic's practice won't allow it. The hospital where they work won't allow it. So we have doctors who either won't sign medical marijuana or doctors who can't sign for medical marijuana in the vast majority of cases where medical marijuana could be useful for a patient. That is why we have situations where we have clinics that open up, where doctors specialize in reviewing medical records from patients and writing recommendations for those patients whose doctors can't or won't sign for medical marijuana. Now, there are abuses. We just did the story on Montana and the abuses going on up there. But that doesn't mean that it's happening everywhere, and that doesn't mean that's what would happen in New Jersey, because New Jersey, being the 14th state, has looked at all the other states and what they've done over the past 14 years and crafted regulations that I don't agree with, but they are strict. They definitely would prevent a California or Colorado from happening in New Jersey. Yet Governor Corzine wants to come out here and tell you that what the Senate and the Assembly are doing are trying to create some sort of medical marijuana free-for-all, when in fact all they're trying to do is to get the law that was originally written and originally passed implemented, and maybe implemented within enough time so some of those terminal 12 months to live patients might be able to get a little bit of relief before they kick the bucket. Governor Christie, shame on you. Shame on you for putting these people through pain and suffering needlessly. You have nothing to fear from medical marijuana in the Garden State, or should I say the no Garden State. Again, this is just posturing by a former prosecutor who wants to maintain prohibition. Thanks for joining us here. Normal Show Live. We'll be back for hour 2 here live. For those of you sticking around, for those of you on the podcast, this is all. So for Cannabis Carrie and Ganja John, I'm Radical Russ. For everyone at the Normal Foundation, thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow, and take care of each other.